Today we are going to be talking about professional learning communities, and we're going to be focusing on two questions. What are they, and why do we need them? And we're actually going to start by talking about the first question. Did you know the quality of the teacher is the single most important determinant in the learning of the student? I want you to stop and think about what that means for us as educators for just 2 seconds. First, we are going to take a couple of minutes to look at some data from the past 3 school years. You will be looking at the percentage of students who were proficient in a particular subgroup for reading or math during a certain school year. While we are looking at the data, I want you to be asking yourself these 2 questions. What trends do you notice, and are there any similarities and differences within or among grade levels? I'm going to give you about 1 minute to look through each slide. So what did you notice while looking at the data? There were a few things that I picked out from looking at this. About 80 to 90% of our kindergarten, first grade, and second grade students were proficient with sight words by the end of the year, last year. In all grade levels, about 80% of our students were reading on or above grade level by the end of last year as well. Also, in all grade levels, about 80% of our students, again, were on or above grade level in math based on their district assessment scores by the end of last year. In most or all the subgroups, each grade level's proficiency scores slightly increased or stayed about the same. Now, we have a lot to celebrate in this building. We are on the verge of becoming a leading school. Although our students are doing fairly well, we need to continue to improve with each passing year. To become a leading school, we need to have at least 90% of our students proficient by the end of the year. So how can we get 90% or more of our students proficient in math and reading? We need to redirect the focus of our conversations we are having about students during our collaboration time. Remember the vision, mission, values, and goals we created at the beginning of the school year? These will drive every decision we make about our students this year and help us maintain focus during these conversations. Also during collaboration time, you will work as a team to decide what needs to be taught, how it will be taught, and how to know when students have learned it. Everyone takes responsibility for each student's learning by contributing to these collaborative conversations and implementing the chosen plan designed during this time. Rather than seeking outside resources, we will pool the expertise we have in the building to make all decisions about curriculum, instruction, and assessment. Each one of you contributes something unique to the team, and these individual strengths will help us push forward as a staff. Capabilities are skills and qualities that lead to accomplishment. By improving our capabilities as an individual and as a whole staff, We will ultimately increase the capabilities of our students. By pooling our resources and expertise, we will become more capable in our classrooms. We will make our data collection more purposeful by discussing how students will be assessed, what these assessments will look like, and how the data will be used. We will also be setting up a system where you will have the opportunity to go observe members of your team as well as other colleagues teach lessons throughout the year. This will be a time to observe various teaching strategies and concepts taught, as well as reflect on your own practices. We need to make sure we are using evidence-based strategies that improve student achievement in our classrooms when planning instruction. And the last thing that I really want to focus on this year is this idea of teaching like a pro. And what this means is you improve as an individual, which improves the performance of your team, ultimately increasing the quality across the profession. So our goal this year is to be teaching like a pro. To start focusing on how we're going to do that. So how are we going to make sure we are doing all of these things? We are going to participate in professional learning communities during our collaboration time this year, which leads to the next question. So what is a professional learning community? Well, according to Michael Fullen, who wrote the book Professional Capital, he states, professional learning communities is where collaborative improvements and decisions are informed by, but not dependent on scientific and statistical evidence, where they are guided by experienced collective judgment, and where they are pushed forward by grown-up challenging conversations about effective and ineffective practice. So in layman's terms, a PLC is where teachers get together to focus on improving their instruction. And they do this by identifying which areas of practice need improvement. They develop a plan together using research-based strategies and implement this plan into their classroom. They also spend time creating common formative assessments together to measure students' understanding of a concept and the effectiveness of the implemented plan. So what does this mean for us? Well, when we meet in our collaboration group, we need to shift the focus of our conversations from managerial responsibilities to focus on the improvement of ourselves and our students. Rather than discussing what we need to include in the weekly newsletter or who needs to arrange the buses for the upcoming field trip, we will use this time to focus on student learning. And the first thing we're going to do is ask ourselves, what do we want each student to learn? And by asking ourselves this, we will prioritize what standards need to be taught and then decide how we will teach them. We will implement research-based strategies, or also known as best practices, into our classrooms to teach the prioritized standards. At the same time, we may need to modify or improve these best practices in our classrooms to better meet the needs of our students, which we refer to as next practices. So how will we know when each student has learned it? We will be designing common formative assessments that will be given to all students to measure their understanding of the prioritized standards we are currently teaching. We will then analyze these common formative assessments to determine which students have learned the material and which students still need more practice. We will devise a plan to reteach the standard to the students who are still struggling, as well as develop a plan to further challenge the students who have reached proficiency. We will use this data to make any changes to the implementation plan to ensure we are meeting the needs of all students. So professional learning communities is the process, I believe, that will push us over that threshold of being a learning school to becoming a leading school by creating a collaborative culture that focuses on improvement and achievement for all. We will be spending the rest of the year in professional development talking about what a PLC looks and sounds like. We will be watching videos of PLCs in action, and eventually we will practice the process during our collaboration time. I'm really excited to take this next step in our building, and I know you will be too as soon as we dig deeper into this process. This isn't just another initiative that has to be done. It's our pathway to success.